Hello everyone. Today we will study the poem The Trees written by ADRIENNE Rich. I have taken this poem from First Flight book of class 10. So today we will do its summary, its line by line explanation and also we'll look after its important word meanings. So without wasting any time, let's start with the introduction of the chapter. The trees. The trees shows the conflict between man and nature. Nature is not happy with activities of human being. With the growth and development of society, human beings have used nature for their own benefit and caused a lot of harm to it. In order to use natural resources, men have forgotten the importance of nature. The trees from the poet's house are going out to the forest to free themselves. Now, let's check out the summary of the poem. This is a poem about the decorative plants, the plants that we use at our home for the decoration purpose. These plants are grown in houses for beautification. These grow in small pots and pans. They have taken the place of large forest trees which have been cut by human beings. This poem presents a picture of harm done to nature by human beings. Adrian Ray's poem, The Trees, is a voice with the body engaged in activities and sensing intuitions that are not organic to the conventions of a nature poem. This poem narrates the struggle of a population of trees to escape the confines of a greenhouse or container of nature. The poet tells us that how trees want to break out of the bondage of man made things and reunite with their natural surroundings. The message is that the forests have disappeared, so people have planted in their homes. Trees are revolting as they have lost their natural usefulness. No birds nest in them. Now let's see the word meanings of the poem. Disengage, remove. Twigs, small stem, cramped, restricted, shuffling, mixing. Dazed, stun, strain, pressure, exertion, effort, box, branch, discharge, send out. Let's see paragraph 1. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in the shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. Now, explanation of the first paragraph. The poet observes that the trees in the all night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain toward the glass. Small twigs step with exertion. Long cramped bogs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients half dazed moving to the clinic doors. It seems like the trees work silently in the night in order to complete their mission of getting free from the boundaries of the house. Therefore, the roots of the tree work all night to free themselves through the cracks on the veranda floor. The leaves of the trees try very hard to put a lot of pressure on the glass window so that they could break it and go outside. The small twigs have become very hard due to applying so much pressure to free themselves. The larger branches of the trees have shrunk and had bent because of being inside all the walls and under the roof, where they cannot grow much. Trees try to move slowly from there and look like newly discharged patients from a hospital who become half shocked on coming to the outside world. Next paragraph. I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a sky still open. The smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice into the rooms. Explanation. The poet sits in her house, writing long letters, with the doors of house opening to the veranda. She mentions in her letters about the trees that are moving out to the empty forest. It is a full moon night where the moon is shining in last paragraph. My head is full of whispers which tomorrow will be silent. Listen, the glass is breaking. The trees are stumbling forward into the night. Wind rushes to meet them. The moon is broken like a mirror. Its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. Explanation. The poet listens to the sounds coming from the leaves and lichens of the trees. These sounds will not be there in the morning, as the trees will move out to the forest in the night and will not be in the house by morning. Now the poet can hear the glass breaking due to the efforts of the twigs. The trees hurry outside, stumbling on each other. As the trees go in the open, it seems like the wind is moving fast towards them to meet them. After going out into the forest, the tall trees stand straight in the forest. Its branches cover the moon, due to which it looks like a broken mirror. The broken pieces of the moon seems like a crown of the tallest oak tree. Important questions. First, why are the trees moving out into the forest? In the poem, the trees are represented as a metaphor for human beings. The poet says the way humans want freedom, nature too wants to be free from the control of humans. The trees are brought to the artificial glass houses, but the natural habitat for them is the forest. The trees are desperate to come out of their artificial barriers. After a long and hard struggle, the trees are marching towards the forest, which is their natural habitat. Question number 2. How does the poet describe the night? How does she feel? The poet describes the night to be fresh in the open, clear sky. The full moon is shining brightly. The poet can get the smell of leaves and lichen reaching inside the room. The poet says that her mind is full of many thoughts that will go away the next day along with the trees. Question 3. Why does the poet use the metaphor of newly discharged patients? The poet uses the metaphor of newly discharged patients because she is herself admitted in the hospital and is depressed. She is longing to get out of the hospital and she rushes towards the clinic doors just the way the plants in the pots feel suffocated and they strive to move out to the forest. Question number 4. How does the poem The Trees make a strong plea against deforestation? The poem The Trees sends a strong message against deforestation. It highlights how trees are important to all living creatures. The poet says that if trees are cut, then there will be no shadow, no forest, and no shelter for the birds and insects. The poet says that the natural habitat for the trees is forest, but if they are controlled by humans, the trees will become desperate to get back to their habitat. The poet emphasizes that trees need to be kept alive in the forest and should not be imprisoned inside the house. Question number 5. Where are the trees in the poem and why do they move towards the forest? The trees in the poem are trapped inside the poet's house. They are planted on the veranda of the house. The trees are trapped in a glass house where they try to escape. The trees are used as a metaphor for humans. Just like humans urge for freedom, similarly, trees also need it. The trees become desperate to come out of their artificial barriers and move to their natural habitat. Question number 6. What is the theme of the poem? The tree is a short symbolic poem that emphasizes the movement of the trees. It displays the urge for the trees, planted indoors to escape in the forest for freedom. The trees are a nature poem that personifies the nature of the man who confines trees in homes and subdues their growth. The poem shows the struggle of the trees to break the artificial barriers of glass houses so that they can grow freely in their natural habitat of the forest. How does the poem symbolize humanity? The poem shows how humanity forget their innocence and try to tame nature. In the poem, the trees represent nature and also show womanhood. The trees also symbolize women who suffer violence in their homes and how they heal themselves. It shows their will to move towards freedom, gaining wings to fly in the sky. The trees indicate the women are ready to detach themselves from their home and move towards the exit. Why does the poet not mention the departure of the forest in the letters? The poet hardly mentions the departure of the forest from her house in the letters, as humans are ignorant towards nature, as a human she cares less about nature in the first place. The poet thinks that nobody would be interested in knowing about the efforts of the trees or their story of for freedom. Humanity is solely concerned about destroying trees. The poet just feels the beauty of the trees moving to the forest.